Hello, everyone. This is Erica Massenberg. Love what you collect. I am back. I am back. I am back. So happy to be here today. And this episode, I will be talking about collecting in my past versus collecting currently. And currently is 2023. So I have to backtrack to the past. When I actually started collecting, I don't know the exact year off the top of my head, but I was about maybe 9 years old. I remember being middle school age from maybe fifth grade all the way up to starting the summer of starting high school. So it was about maybe a 4 year period that I remember just really being into collecting sports cards and particularly basketball cards. Um, yeah, I would say about maybe 95% of it was basketball cards, maybe a few baseball in there or football, but the bulk of it was basketball. Um, and I got introduced to collecting cards from my late aunt. Her name is Barbara Massenberg, and she loved collecting cards. She had a really nice collection. I remember her sitting in her dining room with her binders with a few cards in one, and not in one touches. A few cards would be in top loaders. At the time, I don't remember one touches being around, but she had them in the top loaders, and I still have a few of those cards now. And of course, they have yellowed to beyond the color of butter, but yeah, I just remember those days of it was heavy binder days then. And she would just organize her cards different ways. One particular way was like by teams. Sometimes she would organize something by players. But yeah, did open. I remember opening cards. So that was kind of my intro to it. I've physically seen someone in my vicinity, in my presence, collecting sports cards and enjoying sports cards and doing it with nothing but a love and passion for it. Like that was solely her purpose of collecting was just, I truly enjoy this. I truly enjoy the sports, especially the sport of basketball. I play basketball, I watch basketball, and I'm gonna enjoy collecting the cards. Just as a hobby, a source of fun, even if it's 5-10 minutes a week I spend on it. It was a source of fun that I felt that she had from that. So that was my intro. And I have access to it through her. So then I began to, touch the cards, feel the cards, understand the cards. And particularly one thing I remember in my childhood within the collection was reading the back of the cards, seeing the cool photos, seeing the team photos. The cards back then weren't, of course, they weren't shiny. They weren't flashy. They weren't like jaw dropping, but they still were beautiful in their own right. And at that time period, they were cool. And still now, when I look back at the cards, from the 90s, I still look at them as being cool because they tell a story. They represent a player, the athlete, doing what they do best at the highest level. So it's just pieces of history in ways. So born and raised in West Philadelphia. I remember us going to a card store in West Philadelphia. Of course, that card store or card shop is no longer in business anymore. I believe it's currently might be a daycare in the actual building. But yes, so I remember vividly going to the card shop, and the card shop back then, from what I'm remembering, it looks similar to how most card shops look now in terms of like the traditional. You walk in, you see cases of cards, and you see boxes, and you see one person working in there. And you see posters of different athletes playing different sports. You might see a little bit memorabilia in there. So I remember going into there and just looking at the cases. And honestly, I really didn't know what I was looking at because I was just memorized with, hey, this is a store full of cards. It's not like it's so different, you know? It's not like a typical store we usually go into, like a supermarket or a clothing store or a toy store, you know, like back then Toys R Us, you know. So this was something that really was different, unique, and special in ways, you know. So those are memories that I've had, you know, in the past, you know. And growing up, I did play sports. I played basketball as my main sport. But I never really correlated collecting with actual playing, or I didn't really as much correlate collecting as actual watching as well because I did everything independently. You know, I would correlate playing and me watching as, you know, correlation, but collecting I never pieced it with that. I always just viewed collecting sports cards as okay, like kind of like a project that I wanted to work on in a way because most of the times I would put the cards in a binder, close the binder, and not really open a binder as often, you know. So, yeah, and the correlation really wasn't there to carry me through the years as well, and the level of interest probably did die down, you know, as more responsibilities hit. You know, we used to have to start working, more of a serious course workload with school, with life, just managing everything as well. And also when my aunt passed away, I just kind of just stopped collecting as well too. And, you know, just kind of just, you know, just went into high school and was about high school life, working and on the grind, you know, trying to be the best young adult I could be in Philadelphia. So, you know, that was like the past. So then basically I jumped basically I don't know the years. I could say maybe 15 years, okay? I jumped 15 years. I'm an adult. Um, I'm a mother to a wonderful daughter. Her name is Natiri. Um, and we are intertwined in the sports card hobby. And what does that look like? You know, what does that look like? It looks a lot different it looks a lot different when we first kind of started back versus right now. So when we first kind of started back, it looked at like wow, so much more of a selection, so much more flash. It looked at like a lot. And that could be good and also not so good. You know, I felt I felt a lot different collecting as an adult and in the current space where a hobby was. Um, Sensory overload, a lot of I wouldn't say confusion, but a lot to learn. It was a lot to learn, a lot to hurdle over. You know, jumping back into the space. And it's for me. It's been fun. It's been fun. It's been exciting. You know, a lot of ups, a few downs, but those downs is just you know it is what it is. But it's been fun for me because I now I think about it. It's been a lot of fun for me because uh we wanted we wanted to build a collection of love. You know, honestly, we just wanted to build something that we just truly loved, and we rocked with it. You know, and then it just kind of elevated as I started to research and as I started to deep dive in more, and then we really built something special, made with the love that we had for it. So it's like now the space, you know, now I'm at a space personally within my collecting journey where you put me in a room with cards, I'm good. I don't need no people. I don't need no podcast. I don't need no social media. I don't need no Instagram. I don't need none of that. You know, I'm good. I so I'm at a place of that. But 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it wasn't quite there. I was at a place of like trying to figure things out. Okay, I see cards in plastic. All right, are there slabs, multiple companies? I don't know if I trust these companies to grade with. A lot of those type of questions. Okay, a card show is here. A card show is here. The hurdles of interacting with dealers, and the hurdles of the fairness factor of a price, or the fairness factor of the condition of the card, the hurdles of going on online on platforms, seeing something and when you get it, it doesn't reflect what you see, or the hurdles of the price roller coasters. The way prices fluctuate within this sports car hobby remind me of a Saturday whole day at Six Flags. There's a lot of screaming, it's a lot of joy, but then there's a lot of crying and fear, anger. um, you're angry when you wait in 2 hours in a line. It's not fun, especially if it's hot on a summer day. But so that's kind of what how I feel about how the prices fluctuate, because coming into present day collecting, if you like it or not, you have to somewhat think about the prices, because you have to buy into it to get what you want. If you want to get a card, you got to buy the card at this price, and it fluctuates like like I said, like a roller coaster. Back I remember back in the past when I collected with my aunt, it wasn't such a roller coaster. It was more of it felt more of like a boat ride. You might rock a little bit with the waters, but we know we gonna be cool. We know this boat is gonna be cool. It's going to get us to point A to point B. It's gonna rock a little bit. All right, all right. That's understandable. That's life. Things change. Price of bread is going to go up a quarter. Every quarter of the year. So that's understandable. But when the price of bread, 3 or 4 X's, that makes you scream. Like a roller coaster. So that was a big hurdle for me personally that I had to deal with, because I'm like, give you an example. I could buy, I'm just throwing this out there. I buy a card for $100, and next thing you know, that card is worth $20. Whoa, that's like, all right, cool. Or it could be a reverse. You buy a card for $100, and next thing you know, that card is worth $500. But it's not about, I'm not talking, the price isn't, I'm not really talking about the set. I'm really talking about how those prices fluctuate to get there. And that is just another conversation for another day. But that's a very complex, and it's very kind of hard to understand, and it's hard to accept. I just, it is what it is. But, yeah, so those type of hurdles today with collecting is rough. Also, the bright side of things, one thing that I really do enjoy about collecting today is the availability, and the availability to obtain cards that you may want, with platforms online, with social media. You might be following people. You can buy, trade, sell with them on social media as well. And card shows is just a lot more, physical card shows you could attend if you want to go that route as well. So it's, being able to, right now, if someone wanted to get started right now collecting, and I talk to them, say, hey, you can go on this platform, create a separate social media, for collecting. If you really kind of want to get into it, I always recommend that. Separate it from your personal, because if you mix the two, it would drive me up a wall. But yeah, just separate it so you can kind of zone in when you want to zone in on those collecting moments you want to have. And if you have a budget of whatever, say if you have a budget of $500, and maybe go to these 2 local card shows, which might be 20 minutes away, you can, and within a few weeks time, you can a person can build a nice collection. A person could build a collection that they really want with a short period of time now, and something that it just could carry them through. Now, a lot of times, people who are active in the space oftentimes are just riding a bike. They keep going. They're upgrading, they're elevating, they're crossing lanes to which they might want to be in. But, the average collector, might not be on that trajectory on that bicycle. If you want to just be a collector, you could just really just build something with love and loving what you want, in a very short period of time. And I think that's much easier to do in present day versus when in the past when I collected when I was younger. So that's one thing that I've noticed dramatically, because I see kids now, I see kids now with a nice collection of cards. It could be 20 cards that they have in their plastic bag, and I see kids with cards in their plastic bag, and I love it. I think it's beautiful. It just oozes. Oh, it just oozes a pure joy, a pure want to be involved in collecting. Oh, I just love it. But yeah, I've seen it several times, and they might have 20 cards, but they're just so proud to have these cards. And they might talk about, yeah, I remember, last month watching this player in this game, and this is a really cool card, and this player is an awesome shooter, or this player is awesome on defense, and I just love this from my collection, and and they say I'm gonna hold on to this, and it's just awesome. So now it's just like kind of like a easy bake oven. You can build something really really fast. Also, present time, I do have to touch on this, but social media makes a huge difference in the collecting experience for me. Then versus now. Of course, social media wasn't around then. So the past social media was going outside and playing sports, or walking down the street to the store or whatever, or being on the phone, and actually, now I think about it, back at that time period, we did have like a social media phones, like like the phone line, a party line, and different things you could call in, and you could talk to people via online, or you could order music videos online, and messages will play on the TV, different things like that. So we just really truly had a elevation of social media now where it's at now. But social media really helps globalizes and helps connect the dots a lot easier instantly for a collector's community. It's particularly with sports cards. You can literally jump on social media and become active, and in 2 or 3 days you're like, wow, I've seen so many people's collections via social media. I've talked to people maybe in a message, or this person's social media led me to this podcast or this YouTube video. And then in 2 or 3 days you could just be like wowed, and you can learn a lot, and you can learn a lot of things not to do as well. So like that's the pros and cons of with the social media. It's a lot of good, and I'm striving to provide that, on with my content and what from my point of view. I don't really view sports cards as investments. I don't really view it as, when I look at my collection, I don't view it necessarily as oh, that's $100 card, or that's a $500 card, or that's a $2 card. I don't view it that way. I just, once it's in the collection, it's in the collection. I personally don't keep track of the cards, of what I maybe purchased it at versus what the current value is, or what, I don't do any of that, to be honest with you. I do look up comps sometimes when I might be at a card show and I see a card that I haven't seen in 3 years, and I'm like, damn, I really want this card, and I feel the price that where I feel as though I want to be at on the card, it might be 4x listed at the card show. So then I might have to look at a comp online or figure out what a fair price point is or what the actual price point is for this card. So, that's when I do have to be actively involved with the numbers, the financials of it all. But sometimes I do have conversations with people who are more on that investing type of mindset when it comes to collecting, or even if they might be a collector, they always talking about numbers and stuff. So I do have conversations actively with people in that regard. But just me personally, I'm just collector. No money, no money flowing through my brain when I'm thinking about my collection or I'm thinking about cards in general. So I just kind of want to throw that out there. So I'm not going to be giving any type of rhetoric in terms of like investing in different things to that degree. Like, uh, so so I just wanted to throw that out there. And that's something now that the hobby, it's a lot more money driven in sense of sports cards, because I know when I speak to people who are not active in collecting sports cards, or they're not active in the hobby, and somehow we might come across a conversation, I might talk about my collection to them, and the first thing they think about when they think about sports cards now is, oh, sports cards is a lot of money. It always kind of goes to, oh, they're a lot of money, and that's because that's what they see in the media. That's solely where they get that information from, because when the media, of course, articles or TV and different or different people's content, they talk about a record breaking sale. They talk about, the potential of a card price going up or different things like that. And I guess now that I think about it, I guess one of the reasons why it's such of a hot topic and why people enjoy that lane of thinking is because that's kind of how our society, well, it's not kind of, it is how our society is. And our society is based off of money. It's money, how to make more money, and by any means necessary type of ways, even if they have to do whatever they have to do to get a value higher. So now that I think about it, it's not right, but that's just the way it is, But I'm just on the flip side of it, and I'm just on, as you can see, I'm a collector. I have artwork. I have dolls. I have really cool dolls of Black Panther, the latest installation, Black Panther 2. I collected the 3 set of dolls, and they're super awesome and super dope. So, and on this table behind me lower, I have a table full of sports cards, so yeah. Also, another hurdle too, the big difference too, now the grading, point blank period, grading is a major factor in terms of a lot of people's collecting, and to grade a card, not to grade a card. So when I jumped back in this space, it was like, okay, I was very hesitant on grading. Me personally, the only reason I even have cards graded is because I personally like a card encapsulated in a plastic that is safer than the other sources. Top loader, binder, nothing at all. Just having a card just loose on the table or whatever. So that's my personal draw to wanting something graded to be put in a plastic, because in the past, a lot of the cards that I collected when I was younger got really messed up due to the conditions. I live in somewhere where we have 4 seasons. So it could be 105 degrees in the summer, and it could be, almost negative in the winter. And You might be somewhere where you might keep your cards in the basement, or you might keep your cards on the top floor, or somewhere where it's not air conditioned, not or climate controlled, or 365, or they might be pressing against something. So over years and years and years, it's like when I look at some of my cards now, I'm like, man, oh man, these things got warped. This thing started turning yellow. This thing looks like a dog stepped on it and peed on it. like, so, so when I got back into collecting and got more involved with like adding to the collection, one of my biggest concerns was like, I'm like, all right, I don't want all of the love that I'm putting into building this collection. I don't want it to get ruined 15 more years later. Like, so what steps or what steps do I need to take to make sure that doesn't happen? So I say, okay, greedy. Of course, I call myself the queen of one touches because I love putting cards in one touches. But even at that, it can still open fairly easily. It's nothing like having something in a slab. So that's why I really kind of started to really think about like grading my cards and different things like that. I've tried a few grading companies. For me, the grading card experience isn't the best, but I've run across some really good moments within my grading card experience, and I just kind of just tend to lean to the grading card company that I prefer for my collection. But then that goes back to, and I'm gonna tie this to the social media, the hobby experience, because a lot of times the cards that I grade, more of my modern cards for my PC, a lot of times I hear, "Oh, why are you grading with this company? Why you doing that? Oh, you was wasting your money," or different things like that. That goes back into the social experience of the hobby. And people, everybody has their own opinion, and that's fine. But a lot of people in this space, tend to have a mentality of herd mentality. Like, oh, they see the lamb going north, I'm gonna go north. I don't do that. Like, whatever way my heart desires and whatever the way the wind blows for me, that's the way I'm gonna go. So as me being as somebody like that, and then being in a space where you see everybody kind of doing the same things, even people do the same things in the space, even though they don't even like a company or like that certain thing, they just do it. Oh, well, I have to do it because everybody's doing this. That's the standard. That's the way it is. So that is something that is a lot different today, within the collecting space, that I did not have to deal with at all back then. So I have to just just kind of keep it moving to a certain degree, but also, with technology, with the social media, I've made some really cool connections. I talk to people on a regular basis, and that's been really nice. And, building friendships outside of this hobby, I'm able to build a friendship based off of a collecting love, a love of collecting things. And then it spills over into like, oh, we have this in common, person's an awesome person. It's very rare in this world where you are able to meet someone that's awesome and genuine as you may be, and also have the same interest, and also have the same respect and understanding of those interests. That's where, I find being actively involved with the space really can be a beautiful thing. So I just, blessed for that. So, I know I kind of talked about a lot of different things, and there's probably a lot more. I know there's a lot more that I could talk about past versus now, but yeah. So I'm going to kind of I'm gonna end this with, how I said, it's very interesting. How I said, I want to protect my cards 15 years later. A lot more of my cards are, either in one touches. I have way more raw cards than I do graded cards in my collection. Way more. I would say maybe I haven't thought about this. Maybe 85 to 80% of my cards collection is raw, and maybe 20% then maybe that might be too high. It's graded. Um, the Victorian era cards that I have, I would absolutely love to have those graded. I try to seek getting those graded, but that is just a story for another day. That didn't work out. I was disappointed, but it is what it is. But moving forward today, 2023, I still actively put cards in binders. I have 3 big black binders and I have a couple small binders. I put cards in there because I don't know what it is, but something from the past, which is still with me, that just loves cards and binders. I just love them. And particularly, and this is something that I struggle with because the binders that I like is the old traditional ones. The clear, you can see the front and the back, and those probably are the worst ones to put them in, but I just love it because I just love being able to see the front and back clearly. I know I've done the research and it's probably better for me to put the cards in the binders where you can't see the back because it has like that black mesh that helps support the cards, but I just couldn't get over that hurdle to do that because I want to see the back of the cards when I flip the pages. So I don't know. So 2023, I do still have cards and binders, and those cards will probably stay in binders. And those cards, those cards are awesome to just flip through and look through. Like that's just the best experience I have looking through cards, flipping through binders. Flipping through top loaders or one touches or slabs. That's just it's not as thrilling to me as the binders. I don't know. I would think about it as like binders remind me of a fresh bag of chips. When you open it, you like, oh, you get the freshest chips is awesome. And then the other way, flipping through plastic and whatever, it's just like opening the bag of chips that you opened 2 days ago. That you already opened them, but you just finished in the bag. Oh, they still good. They get the job done, but it's just not that fresh feeling. So that is how I'm going to end this episode. Thank you so much for tagging along with me on this journey of just, hearing my thoughts, hearing how I just things that I think about, things that I talk about with my daughter and my friends. I'm just really happy to share this with you. And I thank you so much for just taking the time to join me on this journey. I am Erica Massenberg. Love what you collect. Please check me out on the next episode. Peace and love.